Caribbean reef sharks, lords of the shallows beneath a crystalline surface. Just meters from the sunlit beaches of the Exumas, a shadow flickers across the sand. In the Bahamas, this shadow is often a Caribbean reef shark, a guardian of the islands, and a living reminder that these waters are anything but tame. For many, the first glimpse of a shark, fins slicing the turquoise, heart pounding, is the moment the Bahamas truly comes alive. Here, sharks aren't monsters to be feared, but vital pillars of the ocean's balance, protected by some of the world's strongest wildlife laws. It's morning, and the reef is waking up. Schools of yellowtail snapper flash through rays of sun. A dive boat floats above a coral head, engines cut, as guests prepare for an encounter they'll never forget. There's a hush on board, a mix of nerves and anticipation. The guide, a local who spent decades with these animals, explains, "The sharks watch us, just as much as we watch them. Here, we share the water as equals." With a gentle splash, snorkelers enter the world below, where the rules are ancient and every sense is sharpened. In the Bahamas, commercial shark fishing has been banned since 2011, creating a rare sanctuary where sharks thrive. Caribbean reef sharks, with their silver-gray bodies and bold yellow eyes, glide effortlessly between coral bommies and sandy gullies. Sometimes a dozen gather in one place, curious but never aggressive, circling divers who hover motionless, in awe of their power and grace. Underwater photographers flock here for one reason. This is one of the only places on Earth where close, safe encounters with wild sharks are almost guaranteed. On land, the value of these predators is well understood. Local fishermen know that healthy shark populations keep the ecosystem balanced, regulating prey and helping reefs recover from storms and disease. Shark tourism now brings in millions of dollars each year, supporting island communities and funding marine research. Scientists tag and track individuals, revealing journeys that span hundreds of miles. Some sharks migrate as far as Cuba or Florida, but many return to the same reefs, season after season, a testament to the Bahamas' role as a true stronghold. For the Bahamians, the reef shark is more than a symbol. It's a neighbor, a subject of pride, and a sign of hope for ocean conservation worldwide. To see a reef shark glide past in the shallows, sun glinting off its back, is to feel a primal connection to nature, to history, and to the fragile balance that keeps these islands wild and free. In these waters, to swim is to share the world with legends. West Indian flamingos, pink wonders of Inagua. In the southernmost reaches of the Bahamian archipelago, where the salt flats glow white under a relentless sun, a miracle of color unfolds at dawn. The Inagua National Park is home to more than 60,000 West Indian flamingos, the largest breeding colony in the Western Hemisphere, and one of the great wildlife spectacles of the Caribbean. As first light spills across the marshes, vast flocks take flight, transforming the landscape into a shimmering pink cloud that seems to ripple and breathe with every wingbeat. The story of the flamingos is one of survival and renewal. Decades ago, these birds teetered on the brink of extinction, driven out by hunting, egg theft, and the relentless expansion of the salt industry. But the people of Inagua, led by a few determined conservationists, fought back. They protected the wetlands, established strict breeding sanctuaries, and turned poachers into wardens. Today, the flamingos thrive, nesting in elaborate mud mounds, feeding in shallow, briny lakes, and filling the air with a chorus of honks and trills that echoes for miles. Watching flamingos at Inagua is a masterclass in patience and precision. Their diet, brine shrimp and blue-green algae, colors their feathers with the signature radiant pink. In courtship, hundreds parade and bow, heads bobbing in synchronized rhythm. When danger threatens, perhaps from a circling osprey or a bold raccoon, the flock erupts in sudden, unified flight, an explosion of sound and color that stirs the salt-laden breeze. Juveniles, drab and gray, shadow their elders, learning the rituals of adulthood. The marshes here are not empty. Spoonbills, herons, ibises, and rare Bahama pintails share the bounty. Local wardens, some the children and grandchildren of the island's first bird protectors, move quietly among the reeds, counting nests and rescuing stranded chicks. Conservation here is practical, hands-on, and rooted in tradition. Rangers mend fences, clear trash, and guard eggs from feral pigs or hungry dogs. For visitors, Inagua offers more than spectacle. It is living proof that when people and nature unite, even the rarest wonders can return. In the dawn's pink glow, as flamingos rise in a wave over the salt flats, you witness not just beauty, but hope. The power of a wild place, saved and sustained by those who call it home. Spotted dolphins, Bimini's ocean acrobats. A ripple of excitement sweeps across the boat as the captain shouts, "Dolphins at 2 o'clock!" Off Bimini, where the Gulf Stream caresses the shallow banks with warm, clear currents, pods of Atlantic spotted dolphins appear as if conjured from the blue. These dolphins are more than local legends. They are willing participants in an unspoken dance with humans, often approaching boats, leaping in the wake, and sometimes lingering for hours in playful social circles. Spotted dolphins are among the most curious and interactive wild dolphins in the world. Their white bellies, patchwork of spots, and graceful, athletic movements make them instantly recognizable. Researchers and tourists alike are drawn here to witness a spectacle rarely seen elsewhere. Dolphins initiating contact, inviting swimmers to join their games, and teaching cabs the art of communication. Underwater, the experience borders on surreal. Dolphins spiral and somersault through shafts of sunlight, exchanging whistles and clicks, a language both ancient and mysterious, but this connection is delicate. In Bimini, strict rules govern human interaction. Engines off, no feeding, no chasing, encounters always on the dolphins' terms. The dolphins seem to enjoy the presence of respectful guests, often bringing their young close for a curious look or racing along the bow in a blur of motion. On some days, they guide divers to coral heads or drop-offs, leading the way through underwater landscapes only they truly know. The local guides, many descended from generations of fishermen, understand the rhythms of sea and dolphin alike. They can spot the ripple of a dorsal fin from half a mile away, reading the sea's surface as one reads a map. For them, the dolphins are a barometer of ocean health. A healthy pod signals rich fisheries, balanced reefs, and clean water. Back on land, the story continues. Researchers catalog each dolphin by its spot pattern, building a record of families and alliances that span decades. Some dolphins have returned for 20 years or more, a testament to the Bahamas as a true sanctuary. Conservation groups work to protect their habitat, monitoring threats from boat strikes, noise, and pollution. In Bimini, the encounter between dolphin and human is a privilege, never a right. It's a moment of shared curiosity, a wild, mutual trust forged in the shimmering shallows. When a dolphin pauses, looks you in the eye, and vanishes into the blue, it leaves behind a spark of wonder and a memory that endures long after the sun has set. Blowholes, secrets beneath the surface. From above, the blue hole is an impossible circle, dark as midnight, surrounded by the brilliant greens and aquas of the Bahamian Sea. To the untrained eye, it's simply a beautiful anomaly. But for the people of the Bahamas, these blue holes are living portals to the island's geological and biological past, a place where sunlight fades into mystery, and every descent is a journey into the unknown. Dean's Blue Hole on Long Island is the most famous, plunging more than 200 meters, the world's second deepest known saltwater sinkhole. Here, freedivers test their limits, descending on a single breath into the silent abyss. Their bodies become shadows in the blue, drifting past ancient limestone ledges and pale, ghostly stalactites. For many, the challenge is mental as much as physical. Heartbeats slow, the world narrows to sound, pressure, and the thrill of surrendering to the deep. But not all blue holes are famous. Hundreds dot the islands, some hidden in pine forests, others surrounded by mangroves or nestled just offshore. Each is unique, shaped by millennia of rising and falling seas. Some connect to vast underwater cave systems, home to species found nowhere else on Earth. Blind shrimp, unique algae, and even fossilized bones from prehistoric animals. Local legends swirl around these places. Some blue holes are said to be haunted, the domain of spirits or sea monsters. Others are considered sacred, their waters used for rituals and healing. Children are taught to approach with respect, never to swim alone, always to heed the elders' stories. Scientists descend into blue holes to collect sediment cores and study ancient climate records. Their findings reveal cycles of drought, hurricane, and flood stretching back thousands of years. Explorers, too, are drawn to these portals, lighting up passageways with torches, mapping hidden chambers, and discovering new species. For Bahamians, blue holes are more than wonders. They're reminders of how much remains unseen, even in a place known for its sun and openness. They are nature's archives, testaments to time, resilience, and the promise that, beneath the surface, new mysteries always await discovery. Andros Barrier Reef, the colorful wall. At the edge of Andros Island, the sea transforms from shallow sunlit turquoise to a sudden breathtaking drop-off, the realm of the Andros Barrier Reef, the third largest living reef system on Earth. Here, just a few meters from the mangrove shore, begins an underwater wilderness that stretches for more than 200 kilometers. It is a living fortress, built by countless generations of corals, guarded by swirling currents, and home to an astonishing array of life. The first descent is unforgettable. Sunlight scatters through clear water, illuminating gardens of branching elkhorn and staghorn coral. Parrotfish, resplendent in neon hues, crunch coral with powerful beaks, creating the sand that will someday become new beaches. Clouds of blue tang and grunts swirl in kaleidoscopic shoals, each fish a brushstroke in nature's living painting. Hawksbill turtles graze along the reef crest, while nurse sharks rest under ledges, and massive groupers patrol the deeper drop-offs. The reef itself is a city, bustling, colorful, and governed by its own ancient rhythms. Drift along the wall and the ocean floor vanishes abruptly, a vertical blue abyss plunging hundreds of meters. Eagle rays soar in slow, majestic flight, their wings casting shadows on the reef below. In the crevices, cleaner shrimp tend to passing fish, and moray eels peek from dark holes, watching the ever-shifting scene. It's a world in constant motion, yet bound by delicate interdependence. Every coral polyp, every sponge, every plankton drifting in the current is part of the greater whole. But the Andros Barrier Reef is also a place of quiet crisis. Warming seas and coral diseases have left scars, bleached patches and toppled coral heads that testify to nature's fragility. Yet, the reef endures, in part because of the Bahamas' pioneering marine protections and the commitment of local communities. Divers and scientists plant new coral fragments, monitor fish stocks, and educate visitors about the importance of healthy reefs. Locals remember storms that battered the reef, but also the years when conch and lobster were abundant, and the sea seemed limitless. Above water, boats bob in the current, their captains reading wind and tide, passing down knowledge earned over generations. For Androsians, the reef is more than scenery. It is heritage, livelihood, and a partner in the battle against erosion and storm surge. Every trip to the Barrier Reef is a journey to the frontier, where nature's creativity and resilience are on display for all who dare to look beneath the surface. Here, the Bahamas reveals its wild heart, a world as rich, mysterious, and alive as any jungle. Mangrove Forests, where land meets sea. In the quiet, shifting spaces between land and ocean, mangrove forests take root, nature's green borderlands, half submerged, half exposed to sun and sky. In the Bahamas, these tangled forests are everywhere, lining sheltered bays, tracing the edges of tidal creeks, and forming a living barrier that protects the islands from wind, waves, and the endless churn of storms. Yet, to many, they remain hidden worlds, accessible only to those willing to drift, paddle, or wade through a labyrinth of roots and branches. At sunrise, the mangroves are alive with sound and motion. Fiddler crabs wave their oversized claws in courtship displays. Herons stalk the shallows, and baby lemon sharks slip silently through the maze of roots, safe from larger predators. Fish nurseries thrive here. Snapper, barracuda, and bonefish all begin life in the dappled shade, their silver bodies glinting in the morning light. Above, mangrove warblers and kingfishers dart between branches, weaving songs into the warm air. For Bahamians, the mangroves are more than scenery. They are the island's defense and their hope for the future. These forests slow storm surges, stabilize sediment, and rebuild the coastline after every hurricane. They filter runoff, improving water quality and supporting the coral reefs beyond. Local fishers know to cast their nets here at high tide, and children learn early to respect the sharp edges of oyster shells and the sudden drop-offs at the creek's edge. But mangroves are vulnerable. Development, pollution, and rising sea levels threaten their survival. Once, swaths of forest were lost to canals and marinas. Today, conservationists fight to replant and protect what remains. Community projects bring volunteers, students, elders, visiting scientists, together to plant young mangroves. Their hands muddy and hopeful, each sapling a tiny anchor against the future's storms. Exploring the mangroves, whether by kayak or on foot, is an exercise in patience and curiosity. The forest changes with every tide, every hour. A hidden ray glides under your boat. A school of minnows ripples away from your shadow. Sometimes, the world goes utterly silent, broken only by the splash of a fish or the creak of roots in the breeze. In the Bahamas, Mangrove forests are a testament to the power of resilience, living proof that, at the boundary of land and sea, new worlds are always waiting to be discovered, nurtured, and defended. Here, in the green labyrinth, you find not only shelter and abundance, but the pulse of an island's beating heart. Sandbars and shifting tides disappearing. When the tide recedes in the Bahamas, the ocean gives up its secrets. Seemingly out of nowhere, brilliant white sandbars rise above the turquoise water, some stretching for hundreds of meters, others small enough for a single set of footprints. For a few hours, these shifting islands become playgrounds for locals and visitors alike, then vanish as the tide returns, erasing all evidence of their brief existence. Aerial views reveal the magic. Swirling blue and green channels frame pristine sand ribbons, creating patterns that change every day, every season. Captains study charts and tides, timing journeys to the moment when sandbars emerge at low tide, offering the ultimate reward, a private island in the middle of nowhere. On weekends, families arrive by boat with umbrellas and coolers, racing barefoot across the untouched sand, swimming in shallow lagoons, and building castles destined to be reclaimed by the sea. For wildlife, sandbars are more than a curiosity. Seabirds flock to these ephemeral habitats to rest, preen, or hunt small fish stranded in tidal pools. Hermit crabs scuttle by in search of new shells. Sometimes, you'll spot a stingray gliding along the edge, or a school of juvenile barracuda flashing silver as they dart through clear water. Photographers and drone pilots flock to capture the patterns, zigzags, crescents, and swirls that last only until the next turn of the tide. There's an almost meditative quality to these places. Alone on a sandbar, the world falls silent except for the soft rush of water and the distant call of gulls. Here, the vastness of the Bahamas comes into focus. Endless horizons, shifting light, and the knowledge that nothing here stays the same for long. For many Bahamians, sandbars are a reminder of nature's constant motion and the joy found in fleeting moments. As the tide begins to rise, families and friends pack up, children laugh as the first wave rushes over their feet and sandcastles dissolve back into the sea. The islands vanish, but the memory lingers, a secret shared between ocean and land, proof that in the Bahamas, wonder is always just below the surface, waiting to appear with the next low tide. Bioluminescent Bays, the nighttime glow. Night falls gently over a quiet Bahamian bay, and with it comes a transformation few have ever seen. As the darkness deepens, every movement in the water begins to sparkle with a magical blue-green light. This is bioluminescence, a living light show powered by millions of tiny plankton called dinoflagellates. Every paddle, every splash, every fish that darts through the shallows triggers a pulse of glowing brilliance, turning the sea into a pool of stars. Certain coves in the Bahamas, especially in Andros and Exuma, are famous for these luminous nights. On a moonless evening, kayakers drift silently, watching as their paddles ignite the water with shimmering trails. Children cup their hands, holding radiant droplets. Even waiting at the edge, your footsteps set off bursts of electric color. Underwater, fish and shrimp seem to leave comet-like streaks as they dart through the illuminated dark. Scientists know that bioluminescence is the result of a chemical reaction inside the plankton. Triggered by movement, it serves as a defense, startling predators or attracting bigger hunters. But for most who witness it, the explanation hardly matters. The experience is pure enchantment, a reminder that the ocean holds secrets that can only be revealed at just the right moment. Local guides time their tours for the best nights, ideally after several days of still warm weather and during the new moon. They share stories and scientific facts, but often fall silent as the bay comes alive with light, letting visitors lose themselves in the wonder of it all. For photographers, capturing bioluminescence is a challenge. Exposure times must be long, and movement must be just right. But the reward is a surreal image of waves and hands outlined in living blue. Back on land, the glow sometimes lingers in the memory more than the lens. For many, a night spent swimming in bioluminescence is the highlight of a Bahamian journey. A private moment with nature's own light, shared only with those willing to seek out the quiet and the dark. Blowholes and dramatic coastal rocks. There's a wild side to the Bahamas that only reveals itself where land meets the Atlantic's relentless force. Along stretches of wind-battered coast, you'll find a world sculpted by the sea's raw power, where towering blowholes launch jets of seawater skyward and sharp-pitted rocks bear witness to centuries of waves and wind. For those who seek drama in nature, these are the island's most awe-inspiring edges, full of sound, spray, and endless movement. One of the most famous blowholes lies near the northern tip of Grand Bahama, where ocean swells force water through narrow limestone vents. Each incoming wave builds pressure until, with a thunderous roar, a geyser of seawater erupts, sometimes soaring several meters above the rocks, sparkling in the sun before crashing back down in mist and foam. Children squeal in delight, daring each other to stand close enough to feel the spray, while adults keep a respectful distance, knowing that a misjudged step could mean a soaking, or worse. But blowholes are only part of the story. The entire Bahamian coast is etched with strange and dramatic features, sea caves carved by centuries of tides, natural arches and bridges, and beaches where black volcanic stones are scattered among the powdery sand. At low tide, tide pools form, trapping small fish, sea urchins, and even the occasional octopus. Hermit crabs wander these miniature worlds, while osprey and gulls ride updrafts above the cliffs. The changing weather is part of the spectacle. On stormy days, the sea surges. Waves hurl themselves against the rocks, and the entire landscape is transformed into a study in chaos and beauty. Rainbows often appear as sun breaks through storm clouds, painting the coast in surreal color. Photographers and drone pilots flock to these sites, hoping to capture the moment when sea and land meet in a flash of energy and light. Local guides know which blowholes are safest and when to visit. They can read the tides and swells, warning when a sudden surge might make a path impassable or when a hidden pool is at its most beautiful. Folklore clings to certain features. Some rocks are said to sing in the wind, others to be haunted by spirits from shipwrecks long past. For all their danger, these dramatic coastal features are a testament to the island's endurance. They remind everyone that even in paradise, nature can be wild, unpredictable, and utterly mesmerizing. To stand on these rocks, face tingling with salt spray and wind, is to feel the pulse of the Atlantic, and to understand why, in the Bahamas, the edge is often where the story truly begins. Freedivers and underwater exploration. A breath, a plunge, a moment of silence, then descent into the blue. In the Bahamas, freediving isn't just a sport, it's an elemental connection to the ocean's oldest mysteries. From the legendary depths of Dean's Blue Hole to the sprawling coral reefs and shadowy underwater caves, Bahamian waters have become a magnet for adventurers from across the globe and a proving ground for some of the world's most skilled divers. Freedivers in the Bahamas are a breed apart. They train to slow their heartbeats, expand their lungs, and trust the silence of the deep. Many come to test themselves against records, but just as many seek the meditative calm that only comes below the surface. With a single breath, divers glide past schools of snapper and parrotfish, feeling the light dim and the water grow cool as they leave the busy sunlit world behind. In places like Dean's Blue Hole, more than 200 meters deep, surrounded by high limestone cliffs, champions and amateurs alike share the same simple ritual. Breathe in, relax, descend, and discover. Local Bahamians have a long tradition of exploring the underwater world. Fishermen freedive for conch and spiny lobster, often reaching depths that would intimidate even experienced athletes. Young people learn early, plunging off docks and boats, learning to read the currents, spot hazards, and respect the changing tides. For many, freediving is about more than sport. It's about food, family, and a way of understanding a landscape that's always in motion. Underwater exploration here goes beyond freediving. Teams of scientists and explorers map the labyrinth of underwater caves, tracing freshwater and saltwater flows that connect blue holes, mangroves, and the open sea. Biologists track fish populations, coral health, and elusive species that thrive in these unique environments. Every descent brings the possibility of a new discovery, an undiscovered passage, a rare creature, a new understanding of the island's geology. Documenting these underwater adventures is a challenge and an art. Photographers and filmmakers descend with divers, capturing the play of light and shadow, the silent grace of a turtle passing by, or the almost alien beauty of a stalactite-filled chamber. Their images invite the world to witness what only a few have seen, a realm of mystery, risk, and indescribable wonder. In the Bahamas, to freedive is to enter a space where boundaries blur and gravity lets go. It's to feel the ocean's heartbeat, to meet fear and curiosity in equal measure, and to surface at last with a new sense of awe. Whether champion or child, scientist or fisherman, the deep blue here offers challenges, secrets, and the promise of adventure, always just a breath away. Sailing and island hopping, people and nature. With the wind at your back and the sea stretching out in every direction, sailing through the Bahamas is both a journey and an awakening. Across the Exumas, the Abacos and Eleuthera, white sails and bright catamarans glide over turquoise water, weaving between more than 700 islands and countless smaller keys. For generations, this labyrinth of reefs, sandbars, and secret coves has been explored not by roads, but by boat, a tradition that endures in every raised sail and charted course. To set sail here is to enter a world ruled by weather, tides, and intuition. Experienced skippers scan the color of the water, knowing that pale green signals a sandbank, deep blue a safe channel. Novices learn quickly to read the wind, to respect the shifting sands, and to anchor before the afternoon squall rolls through. On deck, life takes on a different rhythm. Mornings filled with the smell of salt and coffee. Afternoons spent snorkeling coral heads or combing the beach for shells. Evenings listening to the soft slap of waves against the hull. Island hopping reveals the archipelago's wild diversity. One day brings you to an uninhabited key, ringed by bone-white beaches and visited only by nesting terns. The next, you anchor at a bustling harbor, where fishermen unload their catch and music drifts from a dockside bar. Sometimes you find hidden blowholes or secret beaches visible only at low tide, places that seem untouched since the world began. Dolphins and turtles often appear off the bow, and curious rays glide beneath the boat, leaving their own paths in the sand. For Bahamians, the sea is both highway and home. Generations have fished, traded, and traveled these waters in small sloops and sturdy boats. Even today, many families rely on the boat for everything from commuting to school to gathering food from the reefs. Regattas, traditional sailboat races, are major island events, combining competition with celebration and drawing sailors from across the region. Modern adventurers find their own joys. Some join flotillas, learning the art of navigation and teamwork. Others rent a single boat and let curiosity determine their route. The archipelago rewards explorers with endless variety. Mangrove creeks to paddle, sandbars to picnic on, reefs to dive, and the simple pleasure of a sunset watched from an open deck, horizon ablaze with color. In the Bahamas, sailing isn't just transportation, it's a way of seeing. Each passage is an invitation to slow down, look closer, and rediscover the world as a chain of surprises, best discovered one island at a time. The freedom of the open water, the promise of the next landfall. These are the gifts that keep sailors and dreamers coming back. Conservation in action. Wildlife protection. Day breaks over the Bahamian shoreline, and the quiet is broken only by the soft tread of footsteps on the sand. All across the islands, from Inagua's salt flats to the coral reefs of Andros, teams of rangers, volunteers, and scientists begin their work, protecting the wild heart of the Bahamas, one careful act at a time. Here, conservation isn't a distant cause, it's woven into daily life, guided by the knowledge that the island's future depends on the health of their unique ecosystems. On beaches, early morning patrols check for the tracks of nesting sea turtles, endangered green and hawksbill species that still return season after season to lay their eggs in the safety of Bahamian sands. When nests are threatened by storms, rising tides, or predators, rangers and volunteers work through the night to safeguard hatchlings, guiding them toward the ocean at first light. Out on the reefs, teams of divers painstakingly transplant fragments of living coral into nurseries, nurturing them until they are strong enough to rebuild damaged sections of the barrier reef. Bird life is monitored too. Wardens in Inagua count flamingo nests, band chicks, and guard against invasive species. In the mangroves, young people learn to plant saplings, restoring the forests that shield the islands from hurricanes and erosion. School children take part in beach cleanups, learning early that every plastic bottle collected and every tree planted helps secure the future of their home. None of this work is easy. Hurricanes, warming seas, and changing land use present constant threats. Yet, the Bahamian spirit endures, rooted in community, tradition, and hope. Conservation groups draw on both modern science and ancestral knowledge, working together to adapt, innovate, and share success stories with the next generation. For visitors, these efforts are often invisible. A perfect beach, a vibrant reef, a flock of flamingos rising at dawn. But beneath the surface, each moment is the result of tireless, often unseen labor. The people of the Bahamas understand what's at stake, not just scenery, but survival, identity, and the irreplaceable richness of island life. As the day ends and the sun sets over the water, a baby turtle scurries toward the surf. Coral polyps extend their arms to feed, and the forests breathe in the warm air. Conservation in the Bahamas is a promise, a pact between people and place, sustained by